On this week's Vaticano, Pope Francis recognizes 4 new saints, all women, 2 from Palestine. Thousands of faithful make the pilgrimage to Rome from the Holy Land to join in the celebrations. Catholic charity agencies descend on Rome to organize aid to the world's needy and elect a new president. Year of Mercy preparations continue with the release of the Jubilee logo and prayer. Pope Francis is celebrated as the most engaging person on Twitter, trumping people like U.S. President Barack Obama. All this plus a look at the Swiss Guard's new flag, now on Vaticano. Pope Francis canonized 4 women religious on Sunday, all 19th century nuns who worked in education.
To abide in God and in His love, and thus to proclaim by our words and our lives the resurrection of Jesus, to live in unity with one another and with charity towards all. This is what the 4 women saints canonized today did. Their luminous example challenges us in our lives as Christians. How do I bear witness to the risen Christ? This is a question we have to ask ourselves. How do I abide in Him? How do I dwell in His love? Am I capable of sowing in my family, in my workplace, and in my community the seed of that unity which He has bestowed on us by giving us a share in the life of the Trinity?
St. Mary Alphonsine and St. Mary of Jesus Crucified were from the territory that made up historical Palestine. St. Jeanne-Amélie of Villeneuve was a French nun and foundress, and St. Maria Cristina of the Immaculate Conception came from Italy.
Now we have these new saints of the modern time. That's why we are happy that modernity cannot forbid the person to be saint. Sainthood is possible, it's not something impossible, and we have the possibility also to be saints even if we are Arabs, because we have this identity to be Arabs and Christians at the same time. This canonization tells us that we can be saints also, and sainthood is not only reserved for the people from France, from Italy, from these countries. Yes, we had a lot of saints from Italy, from France, from any country else, but we are the Holy Land, and it's very possible and normal to have new saints in our countries.
Some 2,000 Palestinians gathered in St. Peter's Square to sing and pray and celebrate their new saintly examples. The fact that their 2 new saints are both women is particularly significant.
It's a very important issue to talk about the mission or the role of the woman in our Arab countries. Many countries in our Middle East still lack the importance of the role of the woman inside her family, inside her society. Now when we talk about these 2 examples of saints, women from the Holy Land, it gives encouragement for the woman to go ahead and to go forward always, to give her service in her family, in her society, in her church, and of course for the good of all citizens in her country. We see in it as a hope for all the citizens, not only for Christians, but all the faithful and from the different religions also, that the saint is the one who depends on the providence, on the will of God. And these 2 humble and simple 2 women, consecrated women, gives us also encouragement to pray for peace, to pray the rosary as Saint Marie Alphonsine called upon the request of the Virgin Mary, to pray the rosary for the peace and tranquility in our region.
Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas, a Muslim, thanked Pope Francis for the canonization at a meeting the previous day. Both leaders met at the Vatican. Pope Francis asked Abbas to be an angel of peace. The Pope made the remark as he presented the Palestinian leader with a medallion with an angel on it. The Vatican has announced that it will formally recognize Palestinian statehood in a treaty. The treaty states that the Holy See favors a 2-state solution to the conflict with Israel and allows the Vatican to oversee aspects of Roman Catholic life in the state of Palestine. A day after the canonization of two Palestinian religious by Pope Francis in Rome's largest Marian basilica, St. Mary Major. A Mass of Thanksgiving was celebrated with thousands of pilgrims. Most were from the Holy Land.
It's a huge occasion for us. It's something amazing to watch this occasion as a Christian people.
People were moved by all the event which started the day before yesterday. Yesterday it was the climax, and today it was the extension of yesterday. So I can say that 3 days were a triduum of exaltation for the two humble Palestinian Arab saints.
They're the first modern-day Palestinian saints, following in the footsteps of Mary and the Apostles as models of holiness, born in the cradle of Christianity.
My heart was so happy to celebrate this Mass because she works in our heart. These two saints, one of them are from the south, and one of them are from the north, and it says to me that this is a mission, that you have to be in a mission for Jesus Christ to tell people that Jesus Christ loves us, that Santa Maria loves us. So these saints, I came from all the saints that came from my land, from my holy land.
The Church is holding them up as models of human and Christian virtues, as well as interreligious dialogue.
Impact is spiritual. We have to learn from the two saints how to live spiritually, how to live in communion with God, how to live in humility, in love towards our brothers and sisters, how to serve them according to their needs. Second, they were open to non-Christians during their life. They served non-Christians. And this is important for us today, a good message of religious interreligious dialogue. But also we cannot forget the social dimension. These two saints belong to a people. They spoke Arabic. They belong to a people called today Palestinian people, who is discovering its own identity. So I believe that any Palestinian, Muslim or Christian, should be proud of these two persons.
Now they're hoping the saints will intercede from heaven for peace in the Middle East. Pope Francis received thousands of people in St. Peter's Square on Wednesday for his general audience, meditating on the education of children.
Today I wish to reflect on the education of children as a natural vocation of the family. This educational alliance is in crisis today. It is broken. The symptoms are many. Firstly, there are tensions and mistrust between parents and educators. Moreover, more and more experts who claim to occupy the role of parents drive them out and put the parents on the second place. It is necessary to promote harmony, dialogue, and collaboration between the various agents of education. The role of parents is irreplaceable. Only they can compensate for errors. However, sometimes they are paralyzed by fear of failure, given the complexity of modern life and the new demands of their children. The Church is called to accompany the educational missions of parents, especially in the light of the Word of God, since the family is founded on love. Jesus himself received family education, which helped him grow in age, wisdom, and grace. If family education regains its prominence, many things will change for the better. It is time for fathers and mothers to return from exile, their auto-exile, and return to be fully involved in the education of their children once more.
E questo è gravissimo.
Welcome back. This is Vaticano. After the canonization Mass of the four religious on Sunday, Pope Francis prayed the Regina Coeli prayer with the faithful in St. Peter's Square. He also remembered a beatification in Italy and called for peace in an African nation.
Yesterday in Venice, the priest Luigi Carbulotto was beatified. He was a parish priest, educator, and founder of the Children of St. Joseph. Let us give thanks to the Lord for this exemplary pastor with an intense spiritual and apostolic life, fully dedicated to serving souls. I want to invite you to pray for the dear people of Burundi who are living through a difficult moment. May the Lord help them to escape violence and act responsibly for the good of the country.
Pope Francis also met with a group of Italian school children in the Vatican's Paul VI Hall. They were part of a gathering for reconciliation and peace and against what they called a war factory, and in favor of a peace factory. It was a cheerful and a colorful gathering. Pope Francis greeted them kindly, children and non-children alike, as he put it, answering the questions of the kids. Lastly, the question if this meeting will change something.
Of course, when we do something together, something beautiful, something good, everything changes. We can all change something, and that is a good thing. Go ahead after this meeting and do good. Do a lot of good. All together today have to leave a little changed, for better or for worse.
In meglio o in peggio? In peggio.
For worse, you said?
In meglio.
A little bit for the better, yes. Dear children, thank you for your questions. You've been great. Thank you also for your prayers for me.
Grazie tante e pregate per me.
On the day Italy celebrated the Ascension, this concert took place in the Vatican. It had a special twist. It was for and with special guests, the poor. The Philharmonic Orchestra of Salerno and the choir of the Diocese of Rome performed under the guidance of conductor Daniel Oren. Members of 164 Catholic charity offices worldwide gathered in Rome the second week in May as Caritas Internationalis held its General Assembly. The major meetings take place just once every 4 years. Over 400 representatives were here this time, discussing how to best implement Pope Francis' vision in their work.
The Representative Council had decided that we should work more around the idea of creation, all creation, human beings, of course, because that is our core mission, but also nature. And so the title of this General Assembly is One Human Family Caring for Creation. We've had yesterday a plenary session on a poor church for the poor, which is what Pope Francis is pushing us to act as.
Sé que ustedes están en la calle cuidando a los necesitados a través de todas sus obras de justicia y caridad.
Climate change was also on the agenda. Recently, the head of the UN was present in the Vatican to address the same issue ahead of Pope Francis' upcoming encyclical on safeguarding creation. Caritas' aim is also to engage these concerns. The Charity Confederation exists to end poverty, promote justice, and restore dignity.
Working with the UN is necessary because this is the community of nations and we have to challenge them as well. And they are calling on us because they know that what we do at the grassroots is probably the best work against poverty that is being done. We have received a message from the World Bank president who is asking us as Caritas to work with the World Bank to end extreme poverty in the next 15 years. So there is a real call now.
Caritas has just accepted its newest member state, South Sudan. It was a big step for the baby republic in Northeast Africa.
I had the chance to share some ideas, some experiences with the director of Caritas Sudan, and he was so glad. And when Caritas South Sudan was accepted in the General Assembly, I turned to see him. He was so happy, so enthusiastic, like achieving a very important goal in not only in his life, in the life of the South Sudan, because now he belongs to. He belongs. It's a question of belonging.
It has a lot of meaning because we in South Sudan, we have been really struggling to mobilize resources to serve the people who are affected by ongoing crisis in South Sudan. So we have now a political crisis in South Sudan where there is a conflict in 3 regions, armed conflict in 3 regions, and people were displaced from their homes. We have almost 1.5 million internally displaced people, and we have around 600,000 refugees. So we are trying in all the dioceses of South Sudan to respond in this emergency. There is a lot of need. Because some of the areas has some health facilities and some are lacking health facilities. So we have been running some small health centers in different dioceses, and some dioceses they have also big hospitals. But still, there is a lot of need in different areas.
The Caritas Confederation is one of the world's largest humanitarian networks. Today, they're more global than ever.
The focusing point is going towards Syria and Iraq in the region of the Middle East and North Africa. When we go to Asia, we cannot forget the Philippines. And when we go to Africa, all the kind of conflicts, the tensions existing there, and the Ebola problem.
On May the 12th, Pope Francis celebrated a Mass for the General Assembly, encouraging them in their witness of Christ.
Chi vive la missione di Caritas.
Whoever lives the mission of Caritas is not just a worker, but a witness of Christ, a person that seeks Christ and that lets herself be sought after by Christ, a person who loves with the spirit of Christ, the spirit of gratefulness, the spirit of giving. All our strategies and plans remain empty if they are not founded on this love. It is not our love, but His. Or even better, it is our love purified and embellished by His.
Purificato e rafforzato dal suo.
The General Assembly also elected a new president during the meetings. Cardinal Luis Antonio Tagle of Manila, Philippines, has become the first Caritas Internationalis president to be elected from Asia. Preparations for the Year of Mercy continue to proceed in the Vatican. The Extraordinary Holy Year is to be held from December the 8th, 2015 through November 20th, 2016. And now it has an official logo and a prayer.
The motto, Merciful like the Father, serves as an invitation to follow the merciful example of the Father who asks us not to judge or condemn, but to forgive, and to give love and forgiveness without measure. One particular feature worthy of note is that while the Good Shepherd, in his great mercy, takes humanity upon himself, his eyes are merged with those of man. Christ sees with the eyes of Adam, and Adam with the eyes of Christ. Every person discovers in Christ the new Adam, his or her own humanity, and the future that lies ahead. The 3 concentric ovals, with colors progressively lighter as we move outward, suggest the movement of Christ who carries humanity out of the darkness of sin and death. Conversely, the depth of the darker color suggests the impenetrability of the love of the Father who forgives all.
The prayer draws the faithful deeper into the mystery of God's mercy.
Lord Jesus Christ, you have taught us to be merciful like the Heavenly Father, and have told us that whoever sees you sees Him. Show us your face, and we will be saved. Your loving gaze freed Zacchaeus and Matthew from being enslaved by money, the adulteress and Magdalene from seeking happiness only in created things, made Peter weep after his betrayal, and assured paradise to the repentant thief.
The full prayer can be found on the official Vatican website for the Year of Mercy. Welcome back. You're watching Vaticano. Sports in the Vatican are a match made in heaven. Often Pope Francis receives athletes, and he always encourages physical fitness as a means of personal discipline and formation. The Pontifical Council for Laity brought these experts together in May to compare notes on how coaches in particular serve as educators through sports. Testimonies of athletes, including former Australian rules football player Cardinal George Pell, shed light on the theme. This Spaniard, Irene Villa, is a Paralympic participant with her own stunning story.
Yo con 12 años perdí las 2 piernas en un atentado terrorista At 12 years old, I lost both my legs in a terrorist attack. My mother lost an arm and a leg. We were both in the same car. She worked as a policewoman, and for that, she was bombed. We both miraculously survived from that deadly trap. Most people died or were murdered. Our survival was a miracle, and for that, we are very grateful to have this second chance. I didn't want to waste this new chance, and still wished to experience life in a passionate and intense way. And one way to do that for me was through sports. It helps you to live a happier life, to recover your self-esteem when you have suffered from an accident, an assassination attempt, a sickness, or any violence. It helps you to recover. It's a great way to do that since it puts you together with other people, and the social aspect of it is really important.
With the loss of her legs, she turned to sport to find hope and meaning. She now heads a foundation for the disabled.
I think that faith, hope, and love, as well as life, the love for oneself, are all reasons for not remaining buried in the hole into which you are cast. These guidelines help you to go out and to flourish, and I'm convinced that the only way of doing it is to have hope in the future and faith in one's own mission. I think that the goodness of being human lies in the fundamental values. Faith brings us to the point which we could not reach, humanly speaking.
Pope Francis emphasized in his message to them that he wishes for coaches to bring good fruits as they guide souls in the world of sports. Pope Francis is known to be the most influential world leader in the moral sphere, but he's also the world's most influential presence on Twitter. President Barack Obama has 57 million followers on the social media platform. Pope Francis has just 1/3 of that. But when it comes to retweeting, Pope Francis takes the lead. Users repropose Pope Francis messages on their own accounts or retweet 10 times more frequently than they do the President of the United States.
I think that Pope Francis follows the footsteps of his predecessor Benedict XVI. He's there where the people are. He uses their language, social communications, Twitter, to communicate with the men and women of today. It is a short message, only 140 characters long. It's a direct, precise message. This is a communicative skill that is typical for Pope Francis. He has a high rate of retweets, which means that the message of the Pope goes out to a lot of people.
Francis posts a message once every few days, most commonly on prayer, showing solidarity with victims of major world events or speaking out on issues of current importance. An average of 10,000 people post his messages on their own feeds.
It's true that 140 characters are only a few. I would call them small sparks of light, or drops of water that help man a lot. Man who is experiencing a spiritual desert today that's frightening. I think Pope Francis has a great capability in this regard. He knows how to speak with the man of today. Really, we can say that he almost intuitively knows how to speak with the man of today.
Sabe, direi quasi istintivamente comunicar con l'uomo di oggi.
In this special ceremony at the beginning of May, 32 new Swiss Guards pledged to protect the Pope by grabbing their flag with one hand and raising the other in a unique three-finger salute. This year, that flag was modified, just in time for the event.
The flag always changes with every new commander, and our commander has been in office since January or February. We inaugurated the flag on May 1st.
The flag has to change since the crest of the commander is an essential part of it.
The flag of the Guard consists of different parts. There is the Swiss cross on the flag. In the right and left upper corner, we have the colors of the Medici family. On the top left square, the crest of the reigning Pope, so also when the Pope changes, the flag will change. And down below on the right, the founding Pope. In the center is the crest of the commander and the colors of his canton. So when the Pope or the commander changes, the flag changes.
But the old flags are still revered.
The old flags are hung up. They cannot be burned since many guards have sworn their oath on them. They're preserved, one in the canteen, one over the entrance, but most of them are archived. The ones of the saintly popes, like the one of John Paul II, who made a great impression on the Swiss Guard, still remain visible. The rest are archived.
The Swiss Guard says it's their privilege to march with the colors of the Vatican and the Pope.